It is our traditions, ceremonies, and rituals. Each small detail carries a deep layer of our ancestors' wisdom. It is our pride, our treasure, our national encyclopedia. Let's turn the pages of this encyclopedia together. Most of the Kazakh customs and rituals date back to the time when our ancestors had nomadic lifestyle and used to migrate with whole aul, village. Essentially, aul was like one large family where all locals were each other's relatives. It was more convenient to live, helping each other and sharing all required needs. It is better to confront the difficulties together, and holidays spent with friends and neighbors are more joyous. What does aul local think if he needs to dig a well or build a sheepfold? What ceremony was arranged in the dry seasons? And what other traditions that have survived to this day facilitate the life and communication of Kazakh families? Today's release of our program is dedicated to learn more about this. While closer looking at the life of Kazakh family, it is possible to notice how rapidly the news spread among their relatives and neighbors. For example, news about a wedding or any other important event. It is a feature of Kazakh mentality. We seek to celebrate every important event among our close people. And according to Kazakh customs, all relatives, friends and neighbors give assistance to arrange such events. Experts explain that this kind of assistance has its own pattern. In the old times, each Kazakh family had its own place where they used to stay during summer and winter. Each family was like a separate settlement. Orphans and widows never felt lonely. This is the peculiarity of the Kazakhs. This was a sign of the unity of our people. In this regard, in ancient times, the nomads formed certain customs and traditions. Here we can note, for example, the traditions called Yerolik, Tasattık, and Asar.
Мысалға, жетімін сол өз ішінде асырап баққан, мысалға, жесірінде өзінің елінде қалдыруға тырысқан, мына ұйымшылдығы, бірлігі деп осыны айтуға болады халықтың. Сондықтан енді осы ұйымшылдық бірлікке байланысты халықтың өзінің қалыптастырған, ертеден келе жатқан әдет, ғұрып, салт дәстүрлері бар. Солардың бірі мысалға ерулік, тасаттық, асар деген сияқты әдет, ғұрып, салт дәстүрлерді айтуға болады.
Asar is the joint actions of relatives and neighbors to do some complex work, which is beyond the capacity of a single family. For example, in the agricultural regions, people dug underground irrigation canals or irrigation ditches and cleaned the irrigation systems with the help of asar. Asar is always grant aid. It is provided without expectation of reward. It is collective work on a voluntary basis. People who gathered on Asar help from morning till night. If you need to build a house, they come to help to build it. If you need to build a shed for cattle, they come and help on this. A group of people can do a lot of things from dawn to dusk. The owners of the house make their best. They cook meat, lay generous dastarhan table, expressing their gratitude to all who came to announce Asar. If we consider the regions where cattle breeding and agriculture were developed, then such activities as sowing and reaping of wheat, harvesting and haymaking were carried out with the help of Asar. This amazing tradition is called koybastı, literal meaning of which is sheep have trampled on. Its roots date back to those times when the ancient nomads were called people of felt. Felting was a traditional craft of the Kazakhs, and since felting requires a lot of effort, the Kazakhs used to announce Asar. Young girls, women, elderly women, even small children came to assist in felting. They used to sing, to tell interesting stories while washing, drying up, and painting wool. They used to felt several items by evening. Moving to a new place and unfamiliar environment is often stressful, and here we can recall a wonderful Kazakh custom called Yürürlük. The basic idea of this custom is that new settlers could count on the attention and courtesy of their neighbors. People of Aul were always ready to help their new neighbors to settle on the new place. For example, as a rule, when the newcomers just moved, they did not have firewood and potable water, and here they could ask the neighbors to help. In our time, there is a lack of such sensitive attitude towards the needs of others. If a new family moved to a new place, all neighbors, respected people and elders of this place invited this family on Yürürlük. The main purpose of such invitation of custom Yürürlük is the acquaintance of the new family with people of that locality, with the older and younger generations. It is assistance to the newly moved family to settle quickly on the new place.
Отбасын сол елмен, сол елдің жаңағы туған туысқандарыменен, бала шағасыменен таныстыру болып табылады. Яғни жаңадан келген адамның сол ортаға тез жаңағы бейімделіп, тез араласып, құраласып кетуіне жағдай жасайтын бірден-бір дәстүр деп айтуға болады.
Sometimes Yürürlük could last for several days. Neighbors used to invite the newcomers in turn. The first day, there was a feast in one house, the next day, in another house. Then newcomers invited their neighbors to their house. They used to have talks and discussions about different things. Custom Yürürlük exists to this day. In the provinces and auls, this tradition has been preserved and arranged as before. Of course, here we're considering two types of settlements. It can be the settlement located in the remote area and auls which are near the cities. Perhaps you will not meet custom Yürürlük in large modern auls, but in remote auls it is still preserved. What you are watching on your screen now is not just a tea party, it's a family council. The Kazakhs usually invite relatives on the eve of an important toy celebration. As many know, dowry is a tradition that requires some expenses. In the old days, mothers and grandmothers of the bride sewed blankets and pillows themselves. Nowadays, these beddings can be bought in stores. The bride's parents give also furniture, household appliances, crockery and cutlery as a part of dowry. Earlier, after Kudalık matchmaking ceremony, all relatives gathered and consulted. This is a family council. By the way, invitation to a tea party with sweets, which is called tattashay in Kazakh, appeared a bit later. After the day when Kudalar matchmakers gifted the engagement earrings to the bride, earlier there was also tradition ökatahu, feathers of the owl. Relatives gathered to discuss the date of kazuzatu, wedding from the bride's side. This is the very first question. After setting the date, relatives invite the future bride to their house.
Сол туған туысқандары, жақын жуықтары үйге шақырады. Үйге шақырғанда ол
It is a kind of farewell to the future bride. They invite her, lay dastarhan. The future bride can visit her brothers and sisters, where she will be asked what would she like to have in her dowry.
сол кезде қыздан сұрайды, қалауың не деп.
It is a custom to give the future bride whatever she wants. In the old days, it could be a chest, a beautiful scarf, or precious jewelry. Nowadays, the girl's mother invites relatives, neighbors, and friends of her daughter to tattashay. This is a great opportunity to discuss who and how can assist to follow old Kazakh traditions. Elders still remember one wonderful ritual called tasattık. A large number of people participated in this ritual. Tasattık was arranged by the whole aul. It is a ritual of sacrifice during long dry season. Locals of Awul prayed for the peaceful repose of the deceased relatives, read the Quran, and asked God one specific request. At the end of the ritual, a celebration was held.
Тасаттық бұл түпкі шығу тегі
The ritual tasattық has religious origin. It is mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet. Make dua, supplication during the rain. There are ayahs, verse in the Quran, and prayers asking for the rain. It is noteworthy that religious transformations have formed one separate branch of traditions in the Kazakh society. Tasattық refers to this branch of traditions. Tasattық means to ask Allah to make dua. For example, in the years of drought, when there was no rain, people gathered near the river or lake, sacrificed the animal, read prayers, and asked the Most High for the rain.
Бүкіл ел болып жиналып, өзеннің көлдің бойына барып шынағы мал сойып, дұға тілеп, Құран оқып, Алладан, Құдайдан жауын тілеген.
I do not know what evidence is needed, but usually after the ritual tasattық, it started raining. For example, during the ritual, the blood of the sacrificed animal is poured into water. This shows that the sacrifice was made. For the ritual of tasattық, horse, cow, or sheep is sacrificed. This is also associated with various beliefs. It was believed that if you sacrifice sheep, the rain will drizzle. If cow, thunder will rumble. And if you sacrifice horse, there will be a downpour. The Kazakhs always try to help and support each other not only in joy but also in difficult moments or moments of desperation and sorrow. This can be seen when someone loses one of their relatives.
Мысалы, кісі өлген кездегі көмектесу, қол ұшын беру.
If someone dies in the family, then people try to help and support immediately. If one of the relatives dies, then all relatives gather immediately and discuss what to do. Before the arrival of the mullah, they decide what conditions will the funeral be held in, how many people will be invited, who will be the first to report the sad news, which mullah will be invited to read the funeral prayer, and so on. They prepare cattle for the sacrifice. All these things are discussed in the home of the deceased. There is a folk proverb: death shows the wealth of the rich person and the poverty of the poor one. You know, if a family does not have the capability to arrange funeral in proper way, then this can even cause confusion and censure among people. People criticize relatives and friends of the deceased. That is why it is a responsibility of relatives to mourn the loss of close person with observance of all customs and traditions. Our ancestors always tried to arrange funeral ceremony of their relatives with honors, and nowadays many Kazakh families follow the same tradition. Relatives, neighbors, and elders provide a great assistance in this ceremony. Hearing the sad news, they come without invitation and join the funeral arrangements. No one asks or expects a reward for this, but considers it as his or her duty. For example, if something happens in the family of your neighbors, then you will go to find out what has happened and whether they need help. So, among people, there is a tradition when no one asks, just comes and helps in case of death of relative. Nowadays, it's quite fashionable to speak about the European tradition of charity, but the Kazakh traditions of mutual assistance also deserve admiration. We're pleased that we haven't forgotten the notion of zhulu, for example. Or the tradition Könül Sırao. It is to check and know about the health of a person who is ill, to wish him or her fast recovery and help in this if needed. Such gestures, intentions, and most importantly actions have been preserved in the life of the Kazakh people till current days. The Kazakh village does not exist in the way it used to be, and there are no nomads, wandering people. But most of prairie folkways and traditions still surround us. We follow them, but we not always know what they mean. Bahit Kairbekov, poet.